What you think?
Yeah, that looks nicer. As long as it focuses.
Just scream. Oh, it's recording.
I think it's when I go closer. Hi! You'll be editing this, right? Yeah, but I want to make sure that it's like focused. Does it look focused? I can't see. It looks nice. Welcome to my channel. I'm Glenny and we have Myhra. Alright. So as you probably know, I haven't done any videos for a very long time on my YouTube, so this is gonna be kind of like a comeback unless I get really lazy again, and you probably won't see another video for like a few months. So in this video, we're actually going to be answering some questions that my audience has left for me regarding blogging, social media, about life, and we're gonna try to answer them as brutally honest as we can, with a little bit of sarcasm from me. I haven't read all the questions yet, so there might be some repeats, I'm not sure. But without further ado, here are the questions. First question, how long did it take your blog, or I guess your video, blog, YouTube, to grow tremendously? When I first launched Confessions of a Scorpio, which was 3 years ago, it was more like a hit or miss, so it only started really growing in the last like year and a half ish. That's when I started seeing a huge amount of growth and brand collaborations, but I've also like put a lot of hard work and blood and sweat and tears into it.
How long did it take? So my YouTube channel actually have previous videos of me performing, so that's mostly like the views comes from that. But in terms of like content creation, like skincare, beauty, it took me at least, because I started uploading 2016, so a year.
Okay.
Yeah, uploading once a week.
Next one is, did you have a previous job that you decided to quit in order to follow only this one? I did. I was a workaholic. I did a 9 to 5, sometimes overtime. I worked really hard in corporate jobs. It's something that you like are brainwashed to believe. Like you go to school. I graduated in criminology background, and I went after that you pursue a career, but it didn't really make me happy. Like I wasn't fulfilled, and the last previous job really took a toll on my mental health, so without saving, I just decided to quit and focus on my blog. Without really turning back. Like, yes, sometimes I'd be like, oh my god, I miss having like a steady like paycheck, but this was more fulfilling to me, to do what I do.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I have so much job, like previous job, like there's a point where I go to school and then I had to study because I had to support myself, and also I had to send money back home in the Philippines. And if you guys, I'm not sure if you have a huge Filipino audience, but that's basically how we are raised. So we are raised to study, go abroad. It doesn't matter if you here for for as a nanny or students. We do the same. We had to go school or like find a job and send our money back home. So I actually have multiple jobs prior to blogging, but at the same time I try my best to have some creative job in the side. So that's where the vlogging kind of came, because I always wanted that, and I'm sure that I'm always sharing that there should be a better way for everyone to share content right there without being so pushy.
How much time do you spend on social media? In the beginning, that's all I did was like spend time on social media. Like it was very exhausting because I was trying to like learn the algorithm. I was trying to like engage with everybody, with my current following and like new following. It was just very exhausting. So now I do spend time, like I spend I treat it as a Monday to Friday kind of like career where I'm like on social media Monday to Friday, and I like push content out always on Monday to Friday, and then Saturdays usually I go MIA on social media because it's just like it's my me time. I do post sometimes on social media, or like I work on my business during the weekend, but I try to stay off it just because it is a lot of like, it's very time consuming, and as much as it is part of like my career right now, I want to like be able to appreciate the present versus like what's online, if that makes sense.
I started Facebook first, and then the algorithm gets screwed up, so I moved to Instagram. But that time I'm not really, when I manage like different projects, I only have limited time. So back then, all my social media posts has to be scheduled.
Yeah.
And I had to like literally, when like building a business, I literally have to put an hour aside just for social media. But now, because I'm trying to produce more content, I try to be in social media only in the afternoon and before bedtime. Yeah, but I'm also a mom, if there's like a mom audience right there. So my morning, I try to check my social media once in a while, but my morning is allotted for my daughter before she goes to work, and then dinner time for my family. So yeah, so I try to do most of my things related to social media when I'm by myself at home.
Yeah, like late hours of the night. Why did you start blogging? I started blogging, actually I had a really good friend of mine push me to go back into writing, because writing has always been like my passion. So I used to like write little mini novels when I was like a little kid, and short stories and poems. So she pushed me to go back into blogging, because I did do it for a very long time before it became a thing now, to share my story as, believe it or not, what it was like to be a woman kind of like living in like the nightlife industry world, like the dating life. I learned how to like promote clubs, like just stories about my life, like I guess in my early adult years, but then I started obviously writing about my long distance relationships. So all my stories of how I was when I was single didn't really make sense to put into a blog that also talked about what it was like to be in a long distance relationship. So it just kind of evolved from there. But yeah, that's why I started, and now I just talk about travel and like lifestyle in general. So it went from dating life to long distance relationships to traveling and just finding hidden gems around the world.
I started as basically just sharing products that I use and just demoing, because I find that and this is just when social media is just starting to like, people are starting to realize there's such a wide audience in social media, and a lot of business is eventually realizing that they could benefit from it. So that's where I started basically sending videos to my clients, so you know, they don't have to like send me like 50 questions, they can just watch it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna save me time, but it also gonna save them time, and you know, they can watch the videos on the demo of the products that I was selling back then. So it's easier. Like that's why I opted with videos.
What keeps you motivated to keep you going? To be straightforward with you, I think it has to do with my audience, and like my end goal is to like make a difference or inspire at least one person. If I could do that and like reap the rewards of seeing somebody be inspired because of me, that kind of like pushes me to keep going. So yeah, that's like my motivation, I guess, to make a difference.
Aww.
That's nice.
For me, my family, I always do, you know, I do stuff for myself, but I also like to do things, and like having my family and like, you know, their input is really important for me. And you know, like also I'm such a crazy, I probably it's kind of the weirdest answer you'll receive, but challenge make me motivated. So if, for example, somebody told me I can do shit, then I'll just step up and prove them wrong. And you know, instead of giving 100%, I actually do more than that. So
Yeah.
challenges actually motivated me because I feel like that's how we grow, right?
Yeah.
So family and challenges.
That's nice. How do you come up with awesome ideas? How do you plan content? What's your favorite part of being a blogger, entrepreneur? What's the worst part? How do you time manage? Okay, the planning content, somebody already asked that, so I'll do that later. I come up with awesome ideas. Writing wise, it's based on, I know we talked about this before, about topics that people don't normally talk about. I try to bring it into light and talk about it based on personal experience. So I'm not going to talk about something that I've never experienced before. So it's always going to be about like mental illness, like how like being in an abusive relationship, like body shaming in my community, things like that.
Hold on, my nose is itchy. Okay.
So those are the kind of ideas that like I try to write about on top of the traveling, on top of like the hidden gems that I put out into the spotlight. Photo wise, photos are always going to be about my personality based on, I guess, the weather in the season. It's never about what's in trend. It's always about me and to showcase the real me, I guess. Whether that's on Instagram stories or in like picture perfect photos on my feed. But it's always gonna be something to do with me or like what message I'm trying to like prove that also relates back to like my blog content.
That's the question.
How do you come up with awesome ideas?
So awesome idea is like what I said before, writing list of ideas that I have, and then when a opportunity came and I truly feel like that's something that my audience would benefit from, that's where I basically create content.
Based on your audience?
Based on my audience, what I'm going through, and what I feel like they're also gonna benefit. Because I think that's the great thing about social media influencers. If we are going through something, like I find it's just selfish for us to just keep it to ourselves. Like if you know something or a product or a service that will help you, why don't you share it, right? So yeah.
What's your favorite part about being a blogger and the worst part? My favorite part is actually meeting inspiring people. I'm all about growing, so I'm never gonna think I'm better than everybody. But when I meet and network with other people, I always end up learning something from them, and that benefits me, like as an entrepreneur or blogger myself, or just like me as like Glenny. So I guess that's my favorite part, is just like networking and meeting other people that pushes me to actually be better. The worst part, I think the worst, I don't know, like it's hard to say what the worst part is, because the worst parts are always like a blessing in disguise. I think it's just like being overwhelmed and drained. It's not easy creating your own empire. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of fun. I don't regret it, but it's so draining, like mentally draining, physically draining. Like you're always on the go. Before, I wasn't like this before, but now, like every time I'm like doing something, I'm always constantly in my mind trying to create content, like what I'm doing, like on the go. Like if I'm on vacation, if I go on a trip, I pack outfits based on like what I can take photos in with to create content, and then I try to think of like where, if I'm going to XYZ, how can I incorporate this in blog? Like you're always constantly thinking of how to use this experience to better your business in that sense. But it's like fun. It's like you don't purposely do it, you like subconsciously do it. So that's why it's always like so draining. And because you're out working, like I'm technically working like 24/7 every day. Even when I'm playing video games, I'm like working mentally. So that's why I think that's probably like the hardest part is like learning to like shut off, like shut down. And when you do take a breather and like shut everything off completely, you like feel like you've missed out on like 10 years, like after like shutting down for like a day. Like you're always like playing catch up. So I think that's for me is like being drained. But I mean, I don't regret it.
I feel like for me, every industry I feel like have different challenges. But for the question,
best part, like favorite part and worst part.
So 2 favorite things about vlogging or like the influencer world is networking. So because you'll be able to meet different people that have different strengths that will help you grow. Like Glenny and Nicole. So
she met me through networking. It was by accident.
Because she has strength that I don't, we all like we can benefit from each other. So that's what I love about it. And collaboration is huge. So I love that. And like the constant learning. So I'm such a learning junkie.
Battery's dying.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
A few moments later.
I shouldn't be doing that. Oh, it's just like trying to like focus on one person's face. Thing I like is collaboration, networking, and constant.
One eternity later.
And the worst thing would be trying to fit everything. I guess like everybody have 24 hours, but like just trying to think of a way how you can create content without like getting exhausted and getting overwhelmed. So yeah, and competition. I don't like competition because
you compete with me all the time.
Oh my gosh, you're always copying me. Like I feel like there's so much room for everybody, and like competition is just the way how you will sabotage yourself. So that's
your worst part of being a blogger.
Like competition. I don't like competition.
Do people compete with you?
I feel like, see, that's the thing. It really, sometimes things, it's not about what happened and how you react with what happened.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like there's some people that try to compete, but I just try to like learn to ignore it because it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
Right? So instead, look for those people that are really open for collaboration. Yeah.
The next question was, how do you time manage? I use Google Calendar to like write down all my tasks, my to-do list, like my campaigns, like what time slot am I gonna do what. But I'll be honest, like I don't always follow it, but it like gives me the idea of like how I'm gonna like manage my time for the day. What I do during the day is always based on like my mood and like what comes first priority, right? So like if I have all this like shit I need to do for the day, but then something comes up and like shit hits the fan, like I'm gonna have to rearrange what I planned on doing for that day to kind of like fix whatever that issue is, if it's fixable at that second. Otherwise, like I have to like reprioritize like certain things. And I always make the weekends, unless I have like events that I need to do or like deadlines I need to do, I always make weekends like me time. So whether that's me being a blanket burrito on the weekend and doing nothing and just shutting them off my phone and like, you know, just spending quality time by myself, I always try to make that time for the weekend.
Okay, time management, such a huge subject to talk about. But for me, going back to writing everything out, so I have trained myself for so many years to sit down at least a few minutes to an hour every Sunday night. to actually write down everything, so I'm not scattered during the week. And I use my my calendar on my phone because it's just synced on iPad and my computer, so I can see everything. So even like picking up Myhra from school, if she's early dismissal, no school, that everything goes on my calendar.
Yeah.
And then on my notebook I have all the lists that I have to go through, and sometimes during the week I won't be able to like check them off, so I just move everything for the next week.
Yeah.
So for example, right now I'm trying to like produce 2 vlogs a week, which is I've never done before, but I'm trying my hardest because I have so much videos to edit and I have to like, you know, share it with my audience. So, but I'm not gonna beat myself up if I don't do that. And also same thing with brand, like that's why I'm kind of trying my best not to really get so much brand collaboration, because those collaboration, there's due date on it.
Yeah.
Right. So
it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. So just prioritizing things that are important is on top of your list will also help with your time management.
I guess this question is for me. Maybe it's for you too. Do you have a photographer? I do have a photographer, but she's also like a family and a friend.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like it works both ways because I also take photos of her if she needs to. It's called collaboration. But she knows how to capture like the essence of my personality and my brand. So that's why like I've kidnapped her into like my family. Do you have a photographer?
Technically, like Nicole always there when we're together. She's always amazing to take photos of us, and we're very grateful to have her on our team and our family, of course.
Sometimes.
What? But I feel like when like you're starting, if you're an influencer and you're just starting out, that's where the collaboration comes into place. If there's another influencer in your city, you guys can go for a coffee and take a photos, I think. And that's where Glenny was saying that she's always working 24 hours because she's always thinking, you know, like things, what can you create at this moment, right? So yeah, so just
I mean, you
don't really have
you don't need to have a photographer. Like I started by myself, and like I literally just met up with other bloggers to help take each other's photos. Not everybody will have a DSLR. Like I was fortunate to have a DSLR for a very long time because I was into photography, and I knew how to like edit and all that stuff. But you don't necessarily need to have it right away. You just need to be able to envision what you want for content and like push it out there, and then find somebody who not shares a vision but understands your vision as well, without having to, like, if they take a photo and it's something that they want versus what you want, like that's gonna cause a lot of issues. So or you can get a tripod and like take photos yourself, which I've done as well.
I have the thing. But yeah, so I feel like influencers sometimes they stress themselves so much to have the perfect picture. But I truly believe about investing on like with your photographer. Like if you are launching a program or a service or a product, it's absolutely a must to invest on your photographer. Right?
Photos.
Yeah, to have great photos, branding photos for you. But
if you can afford it too, like
it's a great investment.
Or collaborate with somebody. So it all comes down to like what's important for you and your brand. Again, you don't need to have a photographer right off the bat, but as you grow, you'll start to realize people are going to take notice of you. By people, I mean like PRs, brands, like companies are going to take you more seriously if you do have better photos, like have a photographer, or if you take it yourself, because you can put that into your packages, your price plan, which we can talk later. Another question is, what's your system for scheduling blog content, and do you use a content calendar? I use a paper and pen that's my technical, like my system, because I like to write everything down and I transfer that information over to like Google Calendar to give me the reminder so I can see my month ahead of time. In terms of content calendar, what I do is that I try to print out or write down all like the national holidays, like all the things that are going to come up in the upcoming months. So whether it's like St. Patrick's Day, like Valentine's Day is coming up, I want to be able to create content that would be searchable in the next 3 months. So in this case, it would be good to talk about anything to do with Valentine's Day as well as the holidays, because eventually, like once January hits, like after the new year, people are going to look for ideas, whether it's a boy or like a girl, for Valentine's Day's ideas. So whether it's a romantic getaway or like gifts for long distance relationships, or local gifts, or like local dinners to go to, those are going to be the most searchable. So I kind of usually plan my content based on what's the upcoming, minus the whole campaigns and all that stuff. That's like completely separate.
So writing it down, I'm more like, so the process of my filming is whenever I film like a vavavoom makeup look, I always vavavoom, like, you know, like not the natural kind of makeup. I'll always make sure that after I film that makeup videos, I at least film 1 to 3 separate videos. Either it's unboxing or everything, but I make sure everything was listed so I can just check it off. So that's how I plan my content.
Like for makeup?
For makeup, but I also do other content if I have to talk about a product, or if I do unboxing, but all of those has to be on my list so I can check it off, and at least I have that done. So I'm not, because I barely wear makeup, so I'll probably try to film once a week and with my makeup on, and I barely put makeup on anyways because I just work from home. So whenever I have, you know, a decent makeup, I try to do other videos as well.
On top of it.
On top of it. So, you know, like sometimes my husband can't, like sometimes he doesn't go to work on a Friday, for example. I would take advantage of that he's home, and can tell him that, okay, if you're home, then I can book the entire afternoon till dinner to film everything. So.
Second last question, what's your strategy for growing your account organically? With the algorithm constantly changing, so you always have to be, I guess, up to date with the changes on Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media platform there is. For me, it's like everything. What works for me organically is to engage with people, whether they're in your niche or not in your niche. Engage with people outside of your blogging community. So whether that's going to be someone local that, let's say, loves food, you want to engage with them, because eventually you're going to just like post something about food that they might appreciate. I engage with like anything that I'm interested in. So I engage with people into video games, I've engaged with people into food, into cute things like Sailor Moon, like anime, like anything that I'm personally interested in, whether or not they follow me back, engage with me back, or they're part of my target audience, because that's just who I am. Also, being real on Instagram stories is a big thing. Showing the stuff, like your true side outside of the perfect photos. For example, I posted like a photo of the anime that I was watching the other night, and like all these people were like randomly messaging me that I had no idea who, but they were like asking about the anime. Had nothing to do with my blog, but they're engaging. Like people are constantly looking at your shit, and they prefer to know the real you versus the you that you present yourself in photos. And those are the people that are always going to support you. So whether you disappear for like 6 months like I did, or like whether you post like a launch of a course that you make or whatever, they're always going to be your number one supporter, even if they're not in the blogging community, because they're supporting you as a person, as like the business person that they see you as a blogger they see you as, and just for you versus supporting just for the number, if that makes sense.
For me, I'm so huge at DMs, so messaging, like, I don't know, like there's some people who like say that some influencers doesn't get back to them, blah, 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 but
I don't get back to people though.
It really depends. So for me, I'm such a huge with like private messaging, so DM. So if somebody commented on my Instagram stories, I would have a conversation. But I'm also huge with Facebook groups. So if there's like, I also have a wellness part of me. So I join a lot of wellness Facebook group that I can benefit from. So, but also I can meet other wellness entrepreneur. So whenever somebody asks question, I would answer them and help them as much as I can. So yeah, so that's how I basically, and that way, you know, they can check my Instagram to learn more. And yeah, but like I feel like private messaging and having that conversation with your audience outside of your comments, like your Instagram page, is very important, because those are the people that would actually, like what Glenny was saying, if you disappear for 6 weeks or a few months, they will still be there because you have that connections that you build with them. So yeah.
I mean, with the whole DM part, I don't always respond to people's DM, and it's not because I'm being rude. I've come to the point where I go on social media and like post, I do my shit for like that time block, and then I just like try not to invest so much of my time on Instagram. So when people DM me, like I'll see it, but I may not respond to it right away, or at that time period I may not be, I'm only posting to post because it's part of like my job, but I may not be wanting to talk like in general. But it's nothing to do about being rude. Obviously if you're a creep, that's a different story, but it's just I get enough, like I do get a lot of DMs, I do get a lot of messages, not just like because I'm a blogger, but because like I have friends, I have like group chats from like WhatsApp, from Telegram, from every social media platform, that for me it becomes very exhausting, and like I have so much energy to like give. If I'm not in that right set of mind state to like respond to people, it's nothing personal, it's just like I just need like time for myself to just kind of like get my energy back. And then when I do have my energy back, I forget. Like that's just how forgetful I am. So sometimes like Myhra or like Nicole, they just keep messaging me, and it's
we just know if there's like her, we just know when there's something going on. But I have her number, so she doesn't have any choice.
So it's like, it's nothing, like if you want to keep messaging me, like if you message me and I don't respond and you see me posting and shit, don't take it personal and be like, oh, what the fuck, Glenny's ignoring me. Just message me again. Like I'll eventually respond to you. I always put my phone down. Like I always like leave a portion of my day to social media, and then when I see your DM, I'll respond to it in my head, and then I forget. So then for you to DM me again, it's not harassing. I will tell you straight up if you're annoying me.
But I mean, like that's the thing about influencer world. It's like, because Glenny been doing it for years, so she gets so much DMs, and it's depend on the person. Like we all have different ways on how we handle things. So if it's shutting off your social media and not answering your DM is not on your, like, doesn't feel good, then don't do it, right? There's another way on how you can build your audience and have that relationship. But don't be offended if the influencer you follow don't answer you. Just send a message. Same thing with emails, right? So
like I don't know how many times I've like ignored messages, and it's nothing personal. It's just like I'm either busy or just not in the mood. And when I'm busy, I read the message, respond it in my head, and I forget. So that's where you can bombard me. And of course, it's very intimidating, and I wouldn't suggest to bombard people online all the time because it's all based on personality. I'm just talking about me, like personally. But that's just how, like, that's just my intake on like DMs. Like sometimes we just don't have the time to get to it, and when we do, we already have a bunch of DMs to respond to, so we just don't, like, I just forget.
Hey! You just left me like this. Where's the cup?
Oh, I have no idea.
I'm offended.
Last question. This may be for me. It has to do with my video game lifestyle. So someone asked me, I heard you're part of a gaming squad. Who's the squad's greatest DPS? And what's the name of your squad? So I'm not gonna answer the first one because DPS is just damage per second.
Okay.
It's all based on what game it is, so I'm not gonna answer that because everybody is a really good DPS when they need to be. I'm not, because I do the support and healer role, so I just like make sure everybody is always alive. Unless I go in murder phase where I just like want to kill everybody in the video game, not in real life. And the name of my squad, so I'm part of a gaming community, whatever, and we have like a little squad. Locally, I'm part of Bravo team, which consists of like me and like my close guy friends. Locally here in Edmonton, we like play video games together, and we hang out. Like this is like my boys, like my best friends locally. But I'm also part of SNA, which consists of a lot of. Most of them are from New York. I'm the only Canadian, and some of them are like from Seattle and other parts of, I guess, America, because I'm the only Canadian. But yeah, you can check them out. We do, no one knows this, but I do live streams on Twitch.
I saw you once.
Oh, you watched me?
No, but I had to like leave because I don't understand. But I show it to Chris because
did you?
wanted to play the game, but he said I don't want to see it because it's good. I don't know, something to do with game. If you see something, it's kind of kill the excitement. So yeah.
I didn't know she watched it, but
it's easy. Just if she shared like an Instagram, like a link to her Instagram, just click on it and it just open. You don't even have to have a Twitch account.
No, you don't have to have a Twitch account. And I stream with the gang where we either stream Red Dead Redemption, Overwatch, or whatever video games that we play, as well as Destiny. Destiny actually brought us all together. And I just like stream my gameplay, and I do it for fun. It's a side of me that isn't really connected to my blog, but it's who I am. So I guess it's like a different target market, but I don't make it like as my business. It's more like a hobby that I'm able to interact with my audience. I'm able to play with other players. But yeah, like you can join in, you can meet the SNA squad. We don't have a schedule. They also do a podcast. They actually I did a podcast with them. That is another side of who I am.
Yeah.
But I'm not hiding it.
If you guys have any question, make sure you leave her some comments about gaming.
So that wraps up our Q&A on the blogging and influencer world. Yeah. Make sure you give me a follow on my YouTube and Myhra a follow as well. Yeah. I will link below the URLs to both of our YouTubes as well as our social media accounts. Feel free to engage with us or ask us any other questions. If you want a game, also leave a comment or just DM me. So, bye!